So chapter 9 starts off with this guy, Abimalek, who you see in the end of chapter 8 is born from one of Gideon's concubines, and she's from the place of Shechem. So anyways, in chapter 9, it starts off with Gideon going to his mother's brothers, so all of his uncles, and he asks them and just says, in 9:2, it says, "Ask all the citizens of Shechem, which is better for you, to have all 70 of Jerubbaал's sons rule over you, or just one? Remember, I am your flesh and blood." Right away, you see that he wants to be the ruler and not have any of his brothers rule. And so the citizens of Shechem, they see this and they're like, yeah, like, I think we should have our flesh and blood rule. And so this makes Abimelek very happy, too happy. He goes on a killing spree, kills all of his brothers, like the 70 of them, except for one, and this one hides. His name is Jotham. So they crowned Abimelek king like the people of Shechem, and when Jotham heard this, he told them a parable. And this parable involved trees, and so you have an olive tree, a fig tree, and like a thorn bush bramble kind of thing. And so the olive tree and the fig tree, like, they're asked by the other trees, like, will you be king? And they're like, no, like, I have other stuff to do. Should I give up my fruit so sweet and good to hold sway over the trees? And so, like, they have other jobs to do. And the thorn bush, he's like, okay, but like, here's this warning, like, if you really want to anoint me king over you, come and take refuge in my shade, but if not, then let the fire come out of the thorn bush and consume the cedars of Lebanon. And Jotham goes to explain this in that there's going to be troubles with Abimelek and Shechem. And so in 9 verse 19 he says, if then you have acted honorably and in good faith toward Jerubbaal and his family today, may Abimelek be your joy, and may you be his too. But if you have not, let fire come out from Abimelek and consume you, citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and let fire come out from you, citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and consume Abimelek. The story continues with the people of Shechem, and they decided that they were going to get drunk, and they were going to party, and they were going to curse Abimelek out loud. Abimelek hears these things. He's like, oh, people want to kill me? I'm going to kill them first. He decided to go on a destructive rampage. Eventually, like, the end of the story, after a lot of destruction and death and fighting, you can read about that yourselves, and there was a tower and a bunch of people went into it, and Abimelek was going to set it on fire. And as he's doing this, here's the cake topper, a woman drops a millstone on his head and crushes his skull. Okay, fine, like, whatever. But eventually he goes to, like, his armor bearer and he's like, please kill me before, like, I die from this woman. Because he didn't want to be killed by a woman. And so he died. God did this, it says in verse 24, in order that the crime against Jerubbaal's 70 sons, the sheddings of their blood, might be avenged on their brother Abimelek and on the citizens of Shechem who helped him murder his brothers. Abimelek was a terrible king. He had tons and tons of pride. You also see here that people could put their confidence in the wrong thing. And they put their confidence in Yale rather than in God. And that's really easy for us to do too. And so it's really easy to put your confidence and your identity into, like, your relationships, your friendships, your money, your grades at school, and all these things. But we need to put all of that in God. And we also have to know that we have a much better king, and that is Jesus. You guys, in Isaiah chapter 9, it talks about Jesus, and it shows that he is a good king. And it starts in 9 verse 6, for to us a child is born, and to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and establish his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. Abimelek, he was not a just and righteous king. He just did whatever he wanted. But Jesus, our king, we can trust him. He is one who will reign with justice, and he will reign with righteousness. He's forgiven our sins, and that's pretty awesome. Like, he's given us this free gift even though we didn't deserve it. Another way that Abimelek is totally different from Jesus is that he didn't want to be humiliated by being killed by a woman when she dropped a millstone on his head from the tower. But when Jesus died on the cross, he underwent humiliation because he died as a criminal, but he wasn't one. We're the ones that deserve that death on the criminal's cross because we are the ones who have sinned against God. But Jesus took that humiliation and he died for our sins. And I think that's pretty rad.